Hey guys, so this is very last minute, so forgive the look because I honestly was not planning to go live today. Today is the birthday of the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Eminem. Now, I am a little nervous because I've never actually done this, but I want to pay tribute to a person that I really look up to. And I want to start off by saying what I'm going to be doing is basically breaking down Eminem's chart because I feel like he's one of the most misunderstood artists in this century. And I want to pay homage in whatever way I can because when I first heard Lose Yourself, okay, that's the first song I heard, and I was young as fuck. Before that, all my cousins loved rap, but I was never into it. Never did anything for me. I was just like, okay, because it was completely unrelatable. It was talking about drugs and violence, and child, I was at the time a very sheltered young Christian child. I mean, that made no sense to me. It was not relatable at all. But the first time I heard Lose Yourself, I was like, I stopped in my tracks and listened to the lyrics, right? Because I'm a music person. I don't just listen to the beat, I listen to the lyrics. And I was like, who is that? And then I found out it's some white kid, and I'm like, really? But it wasn't about his color. It never has been to me, obviously, but I'm not a racist. So that was the most impressive piece of music I had ever come across. And for once in my life, I was curious about rap. And to this day, I would say he's like the only rapper I ever follow. And I just want to talk about this because I feel like not only is he very misunderstood and people don't really know what to make of him, but I want to talk about this because I think that he deserves for other people to stand up for him. Not that he needs protection, because I promise you Eminem can take care of himself. I know it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that I do want him to, if he ever, years from now, will ever come across this, I want him to know that there are fans of his. Obviously, there's so many diehard fans, right? We love Eminem. But it's not just that. I want him to see that there's fans that truly see him, appreciate him. Because then we have those stands, right, that they need a reply. They're like, look at me, Eminem, look what I did. Or Eminem better produce, this is time to control his art. So this isn't about that. We just appreciate him. We appreciate his existence and his fucking power. So let's get into this. I'm so excited. This is the first time I've done this. So I made a little bit of a rudimentary chart because I think that this way we can go piece by piece, kind of breaking down each placement before you see the full layout. Okay, so he is trying to think what I should point with. We'll just use this. He's a Libra sun. We're gonna start with that because I think that I'm a Libra, right? My birthday's in a couple of days, so I am honored as fuck that we've got this man in our club. Like, yes, please. Okay, so let's start with that. Let's start with the fact that he's a Libra sun, okay? So this is amazing because it makes him the type of person that probably at a very young age struggled with giving too much. He just really did. Every Libra is going to tell you that that's a struggle. We work on that our entire lives. Giving too much. Too soon, especially wanting to be everything to other people because we feel that need for love. So obviously, to those of you who actually know where Eminem came from and the type of things that he went through, yes, I can see why he was feeling the need for love, the need for family. But one of the major aspects, and I'm gonna actually mark this so that you guys can see this. Ooh, that was a terrible drawing. Oh well. There is a giant line from his sun all the way to Chiron, okay? His Chiron is in Aries, and we're going to talk about that a little bit too. Chiron in Aries means everybody has a Chiron. So for those of you who are new to astrology, this little symbol that looks like a key, that's a Chiron. And I know other people pronounce it differently. I do not care because I like saying Chiron. Okay, deal with it. Anywho, so it represents our wound, our childhood wound. The fact that his is in Aries tells me that as a child, he really went through a lot of violence, aggression, and because that's his wound, right? And Aries represents self, represents who we are, who we believe ourselves to be, our ability to stand up and fight for ourselves. Aries represents, I mean, he's the god of war. He represents assertiveness. I need to turn this, a phone call's coming in. Assertiveness, aggression. He represents masculinity. And his wound is in masculinity. So he either saw men around him be very abusive or not give him a good example of masculinity. And then his sun is in the sign of Libra, which is about love, and it's about, you know, partnership. So his sun is opposing, that's what that red line stands for, right? There's an opposition. So it's like his sun, who he is, felt very comfortable with love, wanted love, craved it even. But the masculine opposition here, the wound, means he didn't know, nobody taught him how to be a good man in a relationship. He didn't know the definition of that. That's where his wound came from, because being aware of that meant that there was times where he probably felt very, very lost, very unworthy of love, very unworthy of partnership, but he really wanted it. And I think one of my favorite things about him is that he didn't let that stop him. A lot of people, when they feel unworthy of love, they kind of just shut down. They don't live anymore. They kind of let that take over, and then their entire life is over. And my man, no, he did not do that. He's my baby daddy, by the way. Watch him sue the hell out of me. Anyways, so something else that is very impressive about his placements is that he's got Uranus. You see this little planet here that looks like a, I'm gonna circle it just so we're not lost. Okay, back to the drawing. This fabulous drawing. You see how they're right next to each other? So Uranus, that's Uranus. Uranus is an outer planet. It's a, what's it called? The word just went right out of my mind. Oh, it's a satellite planet, right? It's way out there in the universe, in our little galaxy. So it's awesome because it can pick up communication from faraway places. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. And Aquarius is a sign for known for being futuristic because Uranus gives them inspiration to do so. So Uranus being right next to his sun, making that conjunction, right, means that EMINEM is going to hear things, is going to be inspired, not hear things because not like he's a schizophrenic, but he is going to be inspired and come up with ideas that nobody else has thought of, boo-boo, ever. And that's one of his main powers. That's like, hello, yeah, you can't stop this man. He's gonna see so many things or produce so many things in his lifetime, because I guarantee you this man is gonna keep cranking out music until he's fucking 80. Because Uranus keeps someone very alive. They are electric. It's like eternal youth. I love this because he deserves that, first of all. We don't want him to ever die or ever leave in any way. But it gives him such power to be able to produce and produce and produce into the future. He is showing us the way into the future of music. And some people, we'll get into that later. Anywho, so his power comes from, oh, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to talk about the next opposition, where's the red marker, that Chiron has. So the next opposition we're going to talk about is Mars. Chiron is also opposing his Mars. So first, let's talk about Mars and Libra a little bit, okay? Mars is the planet that rules Aries. And what did we say Aries was? Aries represents war, aggression, assertiveness. It represents any type of emotional explosion or energy, right? It's our drive. I always describe Mars, to me, it's like our engine, right? It's what pushes us. Where that engine is tells you where we're being pushed to in life, where we're going. So with his Mars being in Libra, by the way, I'm not doing ascendant. For those of you who are a little bit well-versed in astrology, I don't know what time he was born. I know people out there speculate if for some goddamn reason he feels led to give me his time of birth, I would completely do his chart for free because I adore this man. He's so precious. Anywho, so we're not doing ascendant. We're going simply off of the signs, okay? So his Mars is in Libra. Now, how does a Mars in Libra express aggression? For the most part, they will express it verbally because Libra is an air sign. It rules the mind. He's going to mentally fuck somebody up, which we've seen. A guilty pleasure, we're like, we've seen it. He will mentally fuck someone up. He doesn't believe that you need to go to violence. Now, I'm not saying he can't be, keep that in mind. I am not saying he can't be violent. What I'm saying is his preference is to go like, let's battle it out. So this is why his history as a battle rapper is so perfect, because he was built for that. And I'll explain. Oh my God, I'm so excited about this. I will explain a little bit more in depth when we get to his lyrics, his communication. But for now, his way of battling people is words, intellect, the mind. He's going to mind fuck everyone who gets in his way. He'll figure out a way. I'll explain more because his Mercury really comes into play there. But now, when we put that Mars and Libra opposing his Chiron and Aries, what does that mean? Mars is our drive, right? But it's being opposed by this wound in masculinity. So I can guarantee you that for a long time, EMINEM felt unworthy of moving forward. He just felt like he was never going to find success, regardless of how much he knew, how much passion he had for his projects, how much depth he put into his music. He probably doubted himself a lot, probably doubted that he was ever going to be seen or recognized because the wound of self was opposing his drive in life. Now, the upside to that is every opposition means there will be balance at some point. And I feel like he came to a point in his life, which we've seen in his success, right? But he had to own his pain. That Chiron and Aries had to be exposed because Libra is communication, right? Because it's air, it rules verbal things, it rules the mind and expressing ideas. When he started expressing his pain through his art, that was what he needed. And it was such a power play because you can't go up against somebody that destroys themselves. Like, I want you to picture, this is what I want you to picture. For those of you who don't understand the concept of vulnerability, I want you to picture going to battle, right? And like the old ancient way, and there's two teams and they're like, not teams, whatever. There's soldiers running at each other, right? And at the lead of these soldiers, you see this one soldier start taking off his armor as he's running towards you. What would you think of that soldier? I think he's insane, personally. I'd be like, that's the one I want to stay away from, because that means two things to me. Number one, that means he's so confident in his battle skills. he doesn't feel he needs armor. And number 2, it could also mean he's mentally insane and has no concern for his welfare. Both of those things are bad for me. So I would be like, swerve. That is a soldier I ain't gonna fight. Now, if I see somebody that has a lot of armor, right? We're in the scenario. Obviously, I'm not a warrior. I am not a soldier. But if I was, picture that, okay? And I see somebody who has like a lot of armor and they are running towards me, I'll be like, now I want to figure out their weak spot, because to me, that smells like fear. That smells like somebody who really needs to protect themselves because they're afraid of getting killed. And EMINEM does not have that. He does the whole taking off the armor thing. You can't hurt somebody like that. He's already hurt himself, and literally his chart is built for him to own his hurt. When he pulls in his hurt and uses it to show the world, look, I am human, I've gone through this shit, it gives him power. You can't take that from him. You will never be able to take that from him. Okay. Anywho, before we move on, because there's also good things here, and I really want to talk about this Mercury because I love it, but let's talk about the trines, okay? So, we have, before I mark the aspects, we have his moon in Aquarius here. So that is also giving him more Uranus power, right? Because Uranus rules his emotions. Now, I don't know the exact degree, so I'm not going to get into the degree because that can change with time. For example, when I was barely getting into astrology, I asked my mom, right? What time was I born, Mom? And she's like, I think 6 in the morning. And I totally forgot the story she had told me my birth. So I went with that. And that made me a Libra rising and a very early Taurus moon, right? Yeah, so when I finally got my birth certificate, I realized I had been born way later than what I had been told, almost the next day. And I'm like, okay, that not only drastically changes my rising sign, that completely changes the degree of my moon and the placement of all my houses, my planets. So I'm not going to venture to say the degrees of the moon because that can change drastically with the time. So if he wants to tell me, I will be more than happy to listen and to do his chart. Anywho, moon in Aquarius. That gives him so much Uranus power because now Uranus is also ruling his emotions, his thoughts, because our mind, our emotions and our mind are connected, right? And that's just a fact of life. That's anybody who says otherwise is stupid. But what I love about this is that it makes him a humanitarian. At his core, the people who know him, this is why the people that get to know EMINEM cannot help but respect him. Your moon sign is the energy that people close to you, only the people close to you will see. It's your inner self. It's your drunk self, for those of you who get drunk. So although he may present as a Libra opposing Chiron, and he may present as a lot of things because he's a very powerful person, those who know him see his Aquarian side. See the fact that, that he loves humanity, that he wants to make the world a better place. They see the fact that he truly cares about people. He truly cares about creating a utopia. He really cares about humanity. Now, the thing about Aquarius is just like any other sign, right? There's pros and cons. Aquarius loves humanity but hates humans. And we all know why. Aquarius loves humanity because it loves humanity. It wants everybody to thrive. It wants everybody to live happily ever after. But it hates humans because individual humans can be really shitty. Let's just be real. So Aquarius will be the type of person, Aquarius moon will be the type of person that they value their friends so much, because Aquarius rules the 11th house of friendship, right? Groups, communities. Any community he's ever been a part of, that's why he gives shout outs to Detroit, right? He gives shout outs to Dr. Dre. He gives shout outs to people that he values, people that he cares for. He's going to have an ending loyalty for them, because his friends are very important to him. His friends, his communities that he's a part of, they are connected to his emotional nature. They are actually connected to his emotional stability. He feels safe when he has these people he cares about close to him. When he has these people he cares about when they're doing well, he feels happy. So he will genuinely celebrate, and I love that. I fucking love that. He will genuinely celebrate the successes of the people he loves. Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, the people that we know are close to him, that everybody identifies as his people. He will genuinely celebrate their successes. He's not going to be the type of person that's sitting there like some closet hater, wishing their downfall. Nothing. No. He is happy when they thrive. He's happy when they eat. He's happy when they are successful. Okay? Now, a little bit of a downside of Aquarius is that it can be really detached. So there will be moments where in relationships, this will be shown more in relationships than in friendships, because his friends will be like, oh my God, this is an amazing man. His relationships will feel he's cold. Not that he is, but Uranus, because it's so far out in our solar system, it is a cold planet, which means that it needs heat. Its opposite is the sun, Leo, right? So it needs heat. And just like any opposition, right? Just like Aries and Libra carry similarities, Leo and Aquarius carry similarities. So in his relationships, he may come across as very self-centered, more focused on his independence, because Aquarius loves independence, more focused on his independence and on his autonomy than on building the relationship. So I can see how that would create clashes, because most women don't like that. Most women don't appreciate that. Now, I'm not really here to talk trash about him, and I get that that's just a human thing, right? We all have little hangups, so we're just gonna move on past that, because it's not our business, really, what he does in relationships. Now, Saturn and Gemini, and I want to touch on that because we're going to talk about the trine, right? The triangle in a minute. Saturn and Gemini, and that is this placement right here. Saturn, wherever Saturn is, Saturn creates a little bit of oppression. Not a little bit, a lot. So I feel like in EMINEM's case, I really don't... Like, I know a lot about him only through his music. I haven't really sat there and I haven't even watched 8 Mile. And not because I don't like Eminem or his story. It's honestly because I feel like I would be crying the whole time, because I'm a big baby. And yeah, I don't want to be a sobbing mess. So I haven't watched it. I feel like I would just be traumatized. So very sheltered here, okay? Judge me, I don't care. But I haven't watched it. So if there was ever a development, oh my God, in his development, right? If there was ever an impediment in speaking, Gemini rules speech. Gemini rules communication. It's Mercury ruled, right? It rules the mind. So in his early years, he may have struggled with speech, with expressing himself. The power he has here, though, is that Saturn is the type of planet that if you give up, Saturn will crush you. Okay? Think of Saturn like that drill sergeant at boot camp. He's going to tell you to get up. He's going to push you, and he's going to push you. And I've never been to boot camp. I'm going off of, movies, and I'm going off of what other people who have gone to boot camp tell me, okay? He's going to be the type of person or planet that he's all like, this is for your own good, and then start kicking you and pushing you. Because he wants to break you down to build you up. So if there was ever a really strong moment of him struggling with language, struggling with speech, struggling with learning, because it's the mind, right? As long as he doesn't give up, and he didn't, we know this. Whatever, any struggle he went through, I've never seen Eminem give up. Saturn gave him power, because Saturn also rules power. It rules karma. So as long as he kept pushing, Saturn was like, I got you. I got you. So now that we know those 3 planets, we're going to do the trine, okay? This is what a trine is. It's a giant triangle. This is a very good aspect. It's a strong aspect, but it's soft. It's helpful. That's why it's blue. Okay? The reds are the challenges. But anywho, so this means, let's talk about this first. Sun and moon. Okay? So sun and moon trine means that his ego and his emotions are in agreement, especially with Uranus conjunct his sun. It means who he is as a person is okay with how he feels about things. I would venture to say that EMINEM probably gives a lot of private donations. He may have schools that nobody has even heard about, feeding programs for homeless people. I honestly don't know. I imagine that he may not be very public about it, because he's got Mercury and Scorpio. We'll touch on that because I love that placement. I have it, that's why. So he may be very private about it, or he may not even hide it. It's just like he's not using it for publicity. Let me put it that way. Most artists would say, yo, I'm doing this thing for poor people, right? Do I get a sticker? Can I get some acknowledgement? Eminem would cringe at that. He would just cringe, because Aquarius is kind of like, bitch, if you're going to be giving things out, if you are going to be helping, you don't need to announce it to the world. It'll be shown by itself, right? It's just a natural thing. To him, it's like, that's what you should be doing. This is necessary, whether you agree with it or not. So his mind and his self are in agreement. Most people have a clash, or, it's like disconnected. He's not. He knows exactly what he wants to do with himself and his talent and what he's got. But his emotions make him very, he's going to see things in a very different way because of the way things are placed in his chart. He doesn't see life the way most people do. He does not recognize social conventions the way others do. In fact, he may mock them. And I'm pretty sure most of his music does. Because to him, he's like, why though? Uranus is also known as the rebel, right? But in Eminem's case, it's not rebellion. It's not rebel without a cause. It's not. It's rebel with a purpose. He wants to question why. What made you think that this is something we're supposed to do? What made you think that this is how we should live? That's going to be a theme in a lot of his music. Now, Saturn is also trining his sun. Okay? You see that? It's in a direct trine to Sun and Uranus conjunction. So to me, that makes his sun just Aquarian. He's like an Aquarian, because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and Saturn. So when his sun is being touched by both, he's got not only a lot of self-control and self-discipline, because Saturn gives that, right? A lot of drive, a lot of stamina, a lot of resiliency. It's also going to give him this drive to want to provide for a lot of people. That I keep getting such humanitarian vibes, which is why I'm like, y'all are so not aware of who he is. I think that a lot of people just see him as a rapper. He's just the GOAT, right? And then there's the retards that see him as a white rapper. And then there's those who see him as, I don't even get into that. Anyways, there's a lot of it. But he's not just a rapper. He's a humanitarian. He's a philanthropist. He's a giver in a lot of different ways. He's a genius, a musical fucking genius, yes. But that's not all he is. So then another thing is we see Saturn trining his moon. And I love that because you know what that says? To me, it says that this person has a lot of emotional stability. He may not feel connected to the majority of humans a lot of time because they live lives that to him are like, if y'all would know the things I survived. Because here's the thing, although he's very Aquarian and he's got very prominent Aquarius energy, Aquarius does not lead an easy life. For those of you who have Saturn, Capricorn, or Aquarian energies, y'all know what I'm talking about. Saturn is going to be that drill sergeant. Imagine having a drill sergeant since you're born. Imagine that. That is Saturn people, Aquarius and Capricorn people. Having a drill sergeant all to your will self forever. Now, of course, if they evolve, then that drill sergeant actually gains respect for them. And he's like, all right, you made it. I give you this, I give you that. You know, he does represent power. He represents authority. He represents being able to step into success. But for those who just fall and lie there, he's going to keep kicking you. So that tells me not only did he have one hell of a youth when it comes to oppression, and you don't, regardless of what people say, you don't have to be a person of color, and I'm saying this as a Latina, you do not have to be a person of color to suffer oppression. So I do think that he went through a lot of fucking hell, but he came out of it the other side. Now, all of this energy also, guess what? It also trines his Mars. And I love that because Saturn trines his Mars, right? Remember what we said Mars was? Mars was him being the battle rapper, having the ability to go toe to toe with anybody and verbally mind fuck them. Saturn is there. So initially Saturn probably delayed that too. Saturn has that pull effect, whatever we're going towards, especially with that Mars energy, right? Mars is our drive. So Mars is trying to go forward and Saturn is like, holding him back. And Mars is like, no, I gotta keep going. No, holding him back. If Mars ever quit, then when Saturn finally released him, he would just fall. But he didn't. So he just kept going. Even if he felt there was no traction under his feet, even if he felt he wasn't advancing, that Mars kept pushing and pushing. So then when Saturn finally let go, he shot forward. That's what happened. That's what happened. Saturn blessed him like, yes, motherfucker, you didn't quit on me. So, I love that. Now, I want to talk about one of my favorite parts of his chart. Scorpio Mercury. I want to talk about his Scorpio Mercury because, first of all, I have that placement. I'm also a Libra with Scorpio Mercury. But for those of you who are new to astrology, Mercury is your communication. It rules your throat, your tongue, your mouth, like things that you communicate with, right? So what does this mean for M and M? It means that his mind is ruled by Mars and Pluto. It means that his mind lacks depth. I mean, not lacks depth, has such depth, sorry. Scorpio rules depth, Pluto rules depth, right? And when you put somebody's mind in the sign of death, in the sign that rules destruction, shadows, magic, psychic abilities, or divination abilities, psychology, all of these things. That's what this rules. You put somebody's mind in that sign, guess what that's going to do? That's going to give that person the ability to pick apart other people. A Mercury Scorpio, or Scorpio Mercury, will be able to look at somebody and size them up like this. They know that person's weaknesses. And I will say this, not all Scorpio Mercuries, because it depends on the aspects, right? They could have a really shitty placement, like maybe it's conjunct Neptune, or, you know, there's other placements that could destroy that. I would say 80%. 80% of Scorpio Mercuries can do this. They will naturally be drawn to be therapists, psychologists, astrologers, tarot readers, things like that, because they can pinpoint exactly what you need. They can pinpoint what your problem is. Now, think of this placement in the hands of a battle rapper. In the hands of a battle rapper, what do you think that's going to do? I'm gonna tell you what that's gonna do. It's gonna give him the ability to momentarily size up his opponent, figure out their strengths and weaknesses, and also Scorpio Mercury never forgets. Never forgets. Anything he learned about that person is filed away in his mind. And at a moment's notice, he can bring all of that up. So then when he goes to battle with that person, toe to toe, he mind fucks them with their deepest weaknesses, with their insecurities, with their vulnerabilities. So now we know why Twitter loses its shit, right? Because he's got the ability to pinpoint exactly what they hate. He's got the ability to pull people's psychology, psyche, I can't talk today. His psyche, their psyche apart. Verbally. And people fear that. People are terrified by that. Because we all know he's not really homophobic, right? For those of you who are like, oh, he's not. No, he's not. He literally, Google it. There's a rapper that he literally was commending him on his skills, and he's gay. And he was also, he's Elton John's good friend. He sent him diamond encrusted cock rings. What type of homophobe does that shit? Nobody. Come on now. There's a lot of things that prove he's not homophobic. So for those of you who are narrow-minded and aren't going to focus on anything he said, like, bitch, please. Anywho, I can't even. So his Scorpio Mercury, though, means he also never forgets his pain. That's going to be everything he went through. Everything he went through, he's going to remember. And the Chiron aspecting his sun, his Uranus, his Mars, means pain is a part of his life. Literally, it's a part of his art. Pain will always be his music, his poems, his lyrics will always be laced with pain, with raw reality is what it's laced with. For those of you who are like, I mean, when I heard that the diss from, what's his little name? What's his name? The blonde kid. I swear I had never heard of this motherfucker until he dissed Eminem. And I'm like, who is this little shit? Ugh, worst thing ever. Anyways, you guys know who I'm talking about. MGK, right? When he said in his music, why are you so mad? Bitch, Why are you so blind? Like, hello? Do you not know what the fuck this man has lived through? Just because he can heal from it doesn't mean it's ever gone. That's like telling a woman that's been raped repeatedly throughout her life, so you're wealthy now, get the fuck over it. Wealth does not take away pain. Thank you very much. Even therapy can't eliminate pain. You learn to live with it. You learn to process it. It's never gone. Okay? Dumbass. Anywho. So I love that he's got that that Mercury and Moon square. Actually, I'm going to point it out here. So this is a little bit of an issue for him. His emotions and his words don't always go well, because his words are ruled by Mars. His words want to destroy. His emotions do not. So although his words have a punch, they've got one hell of a punch, because Scorpio rules power, baby. It rules power. Anybody, and I'm including myself, anybody that has Scorpio Mercury, or Mercury in the 8th house, or Mercury aspecting Pluto or Mars in any way, their words pack like a fucking punch. They will leave an imprint on you. So his words will leave an imprint on a lot of people, but his emotions aren't behind it. He will literally be the type of person that will say things that he did not mean. Imagine that. So, like any other human then? And people want to destroy him for this? Bitch, I swear to God. I'm trying to think, because honestly, I just want to cover what I think people really misunderstand about this man. The rest is really like fluff. It's unnecessary. I don't care what he's like in his relationships. To me, it's irrelevant. I think we should focus on who he is as a man, who he is as an artist, because what I also love about Scorpio Mercury is he's always going to push to evolve. He wants to grow. He wants to transcend who he is. So he's who he was when he started, who he was 5 years ago, who he was last year is not who he is today. His mind, his Mercury, is always going to be evolving, evolving, evolving. He wants to grow. He's going to be a big lover of transformation. He's going to love thinking of ways that he can create a better world. He wants to avoid others going through the same pain he did. And so I'm going to end it here, because I really think this is the gist of it. This is really what I think is important. Because yeah, there's a lot of other aspects. I could go on and on with a chart, but I just really think that overall, this is my favorite parts of him as an artist. And this is me paying homage to the GOAT on his birthday. Happy birthday, EMINEM. Happy birthday to all my Libras out there, but especially the GOAT. Thank you for existing. Thank you for bringing us your music. We love it. Keep producing that shit. And if you stop even, we'll still love you, okay? All right. I'm going to go ahead and end this here. I love you guys. Let me know what you think below, and I will talk to you guys later.